everyone. I'm Helen and welcome to our first Chinese lesson. Throughout the course, you're going to be able to speak Chinese just like a local. Today, we're going to talk about something that most Chinese learners feel frustrated right away, the tone. But before we jump into tongues, let me ask you something. Have you ever thought why Chinese is considered to be one of the most difficult language to learn? Well, many would even say Chinese characters is so difficult to write or the grammar is too complicated. However, let me tell you one shocking truth. For many Chinese kids that grow up in China, they don't speak Mandarin when they were little. There are hundreds of dialects among China in different regions. When children grow up with their parents, usually they communicate with dialects. And the local dialects like Cantonese and Shanghainese and many, they sound completely different from Mandarin. And only when the kids grow up to their 7 or 8 years old, when they've been sent to the primary school, this is when they started to learn the Mandarin system, including pinyin pronunciation and the proper writing. So even for millions of Chinese, Mandarin, you can say, is their second language, not their first language. However, if they are able to pick up the Mandarin, so can you, right? Why those Chinese kids can speak good Mandarin and you struggle with it? It's because in their local dialects, although their pronunciation and vowels and initial system are very different than Mandarin itself, they all almost include the tone. That means although the tone system is different than Mandarin, however, the children were being thrown into the environment that they will get used to the language that carries the tone. However, for many Westerner speakers, your first language that maybe is with no tone, that means your ears is not being practiced to pick up the differences of the same pronunciation but different tone. So your ears cannot differentiate them. That means you will have problem to pronounce them, right? The technique we're going to use is to train your ears to be smart enough to pick up the differences in different tones, and then we're going to teach you the special techniques so that you are able to pronounce the vowels and initials just like local. And probably why you have been struggling so far with learning Chinese is because most of the Chinese textbooks and apps like Duolingo, they don't spend enough time to help you training on the pronunciation. Imagine if you learn a word with the wrong tone. It's not like in the English vocabulary, instead of saying coconut, you say coconut. Let me give you example, okay? Instead of you say ma, you say ma. You can notice how the initial and vowels are completely the same. However, the tone is a little bit different. But they mean completely different things. Ma means mama, mother. However, ma, it means horse. It would be fine if you pronounce tone it a little bit wrong in a sentence with 1 or 3 mistakes. People might still be able to guess what you're trying to express. However, imagine every character you have been learned, you mispronounce the tongue a little bit here and there. When you combine them together, it becomes a cluster of gibberish to Chinese because every pronunciation is a little bit mixed off, and combined together, they are not be able to decode what you are really trying to express. So that's why tone is so important. I know that then you're going to ask me, what about the vowels and the initials? First of all, those vowels and initials are actually not so difficult for you to learn because many of them are involved in the English pronunciation system. Even when you pronounce it a little bit wrong, that's completely fine because most of the Chinese, they don't speak perfect Mandarin. They also speak it with a little bit accent. If you mispronounce it a little bit, that's fine. People are still be able to pick up meaning as long as the tone you are making is accurate. In this video now, we are going to first train your ears to hear and pick up the different tones. So here's a little bit introduction about myself. I was born and raised in China. Mandarin actually is not my first language. It's a second language I learned at school. And now I speak Chinese, English, and Thai, so I know how Mandarin is really taught in the Chinese education system. I also know how to make it work for English speakers too. Now let's start with something important. First, we need to clarify that Chinese doesn't only have 4 tones. I know that you probably see in the textbook saying that Chinese have 4 tones, right? However, it actually have 5 tones. The 5th we call it the neutral tone or the light tone. That means when you see a pinyin without a tone marker, it means the light tone. So you say it in the least effortless way without much pitch. For example, let's take ma as example, right? So with the first tone, it could be the high and flat tone. You need to pay attention to when I start pronouncing it and the end when I finish it, and pay attention to the pitch. Ma, ma. To notice that the pitch I have from start to the end is flat. I didn't change. So this is the first tone, and the meaning is called mother. Second tone, I will use the same vowel and initials as example, and then we use the second tone marker. Pay attention to how I start with the tone and how I end with the tone. Pay attention to the pitch. Ma, ma, ma. You hear the difference? When I finish it, I finished here. And when I started here. So it's ma is a rising tone. When Chinese speaks, we don't care about the length of the pronunciation. Not like in Thai, have short vowel and long vowel. Here, when I say ma or ma, they all mean the same. So that's actually make the language a little bit simple for you. But no matter how short it is, you always start with low and then end in high. And third is the falling and rising tone. You can see from the tone marker, it may look like it's even through the falling and rising duration. However, in real life, the falling tone actually dominates how you pronounce it and only rising at the tiny end of the pronunciation. Now, hear it carefully. Ma, ma. So it's a combination that I start from here, relatively high pitch, and then lowers down, ma. And then I will go back to the flat, ma, ma, which means horse. The fourth one is sharp falling tone. In this example, it would be pronounced as ma, ma. So can you tell me, do I start high or do I start low? Yeah, the pitch started high over there and then ma, it goes down. I know it could be a little bit confusing to you when you try to differentiate the third tone and the fourth tone. Now let's compare it. The third tone, ma, ma. The fourth tone, ma, ma. Now I'm going to combine them together so that your ears can differentiate them. Ma, 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 ma. Did you get it? And the fifth, which is super simple without any tone marker, you just speak it in a very light way. Ma, ma. So this word you will hear it very often at the end of a Chinese sentence. Use it as a kind of like question mark, like you okay with that? Like a question mark to indicate that the person is asking you a question. Now let's move on to the listening part. Here you are going to hear 20 different combinations of sound, and you need to pay attention to what tongues it is. Na, 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 na,的的的的的的呢呢嘛嘛马马嘛嘛马马妈妈米米咪咪咪咪米米你你你你你你 Congratulations! Now you finished. If you're able to finish the test with 80% accuracy, then you can move to the next part where we are going to practice to pronounce the tongues accurately. So if you fail at 80, that's fine. You just need more training. That means your ears still not be able to differentiate them yet. You just need more training and a little bit more time. To get that, you can go to the descriptions box. Here's a link for you to free download more free resources with the audio resources, and then with more practice, then you're going to come back to this YouTube and finish the rest of the practice. Now let's move to the speaking practice. Here I am going to first tell you words without tongue, and then I'm going to give you the tongue. Then you need to add a tongue into the word and then compare the answer with mine. I would advise you to record your own answers and then compare yours with me, since your ears has been trained with to tell the difference between different tongues. So here you are able to keep practicing and then compare the difference with yours and mine, and then you will know if you will do it correctly or not. So here are the 15 practices. 的的的的的呢
nở, nơ, nơ, nở, mạ, ma, ma, mã, má, nạ, na, nã, na.
If you can get the tones correctly, then these words would just sound so natural speaking out from you like a local.
爸爸，爸爸 it means dad. 大米，大米 it means rice. This is their daily food that Chinese eat. 妈妈，妈妈 this means mother, mom.
Do you want more practices about the highly frequent used words in Chinese? Don't worry, I prepared free download with the digital flashcards that you can practice with yourself. It comes with the audio and you can just swipe left or right to help you memorize it. If you know that you can pronounce it correctly, then you swipe right, then the word will not show up again. And if you realize that you pronounce it in a wrong way, you just swipe left, then the word will automatically reappear again to help you revise. Remember to check the link in my description box to get your free tone trainer and the free flashcard trainer. In my next video, we are going to focus on pronouncing the single vowels and the initials, and I'm going to teach you the tricks how can you sound like a native speaker. So make sure to subscribe and turn on the notifications so that you won't miss my next lesson. That's for today. Thank you so much. 再见. And remember, if Chinese kids can learn Mandarin with the right training, so can you with Helen. See you next time.